Well, welcome back to another Coffee and a Chat. And I want to continue in our Consider It All Joy series, which this is a great time because this is frustrating. I am sitting in my car right now, and I'm going to be sitting in it for a while. And so I thought, you know what, a great time to go ahead and, because I'm alone, I don't have all these distractions, but I'm sitting in line at one of our local mobile food pantries, and which I am so grateful for. And so I have to handhold my phone. I want to hold it down so that I don't invade anybody else's privacy. The sun is at a weird angle. I'm getting all kinds of shadows. So you know what? The video is not going to be very good. I'm just going to tell you that. And so, you don't even have to look at me. I mean, I'm sure it's painful looking at me most days anyway. But, maybe just listen today. And anyway, this is part of life, is making do with what we have. And it seems like more and more that becomes the challenge, is working with what we have, because there's not a lot of other options. Oh yeah, and there's going to be little interruptions because somebody's trying to text me. And I'm on my regular phone today because I'm making do with what I've got. So I want to go back and read James 1, verses 2-4, because this is where this series has come from. And it says, "Consider it all joy, my brethren, when you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance. And let endurance have its perfect result, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing." And these are not prescriptions, so we're going to hope I can read good enough without them, because the sun's so bright I can't put my other glasses on. More texting, more people. Speaking of which, when we go through stuff, there's yet another one. Yes, I am busy today. All right. When there's a lot of stressful things going on in life, and then you got other people that need you too, like this, here goes my phone. And you know that you can't just pull yourself into a hole, even though you might want to, but you've got to go ahead and be there for other people as well, because you need them to be there for you. We all need each other. My last Survival Saturday, I believe, was the one I did on building community. And so community is important. One of the things I had said is you can't expect somebody to be there to help you if you're not even willing to be there to help them, or something like that. And that's true. So life goes on. I've got a pile of things that I've got to take care of right now, of responsibilities and pressures, and I find myself getting amped up into anxiety. My heart gets a little wonky on me because I'm under a lot of stress. But these are things that I don't have much control over. They're part of life. They're things that have to be taken care of, and I have to do my part, and other people are doing their part, and we're just going to get through. And the truth is, Marvin and I sit down and we talk about it, and we are at a time in our life and with our age that it may never get much better than this. And we may just have to kind of limp our way through a lot of days and just keep depending on God. But that's not a bad thing. For me personally, I find so much better on depending on God. I'm going through something right now, and somebody else that I know is going through the same thing. Now, I am depending completely on God for mine. And this other person is going through the things in life that are offered, the average person would go through, the different avenues and stuff of trying to address the exact same problem. And so they're going through it on man's thing. And I'm not saying anything bad about that. I've done that so many times myself, and it's what we do. There are things available to us to help us through things. We take it, we take advantage of that, and we all try to be as responsible as we can. Now, for them, it's an option. For me, it's not an option. So my only option, my only resource truly is the Lord. And yet I was kind of laughing to myself the other day, because we're probably both going to come with the same outcome, and yet the process, in truth, because I've done it the way that she's doing it right now. I've done it that way before. And like I said, if I still had those resources, I'd probably be doing the same thing, but I don't. So I have the Lord. And I'm telling you guys that when God's all you've got and he's your only resource and you have to go through it with him, it's not a bad thing. I think I have it better than she does. And, and it's really made me think about how we have become so dependent on so many other things in life that we think, I need that, or, what would I do without it? I was watching a video. This woman, she was having this terrible problem because she was downsizing her home, and her new kitchen is very tiny. And her big anxiety was, there is no place to put a microwave. And how in the world is she going to live without a microwave? And she's probably about the same age I am. There was not a microwave in our home. I was married and moved away from home before my mom got her first microwave. And then a couple years later, I got my first microwave because my mom was like, oh, you've got to have one of these. It's amazing. And she bought me one for my birthday. And back then they were these big, humongous things that they took up so much space and everything. Now they've got things nice and compact, and you can put them up over your stove. I had one over my stove. It didn't work anymore. I had it taken out and just put in a regular vent and light, and I'm much happier with that. And if it wasn't for Marvin, and he knows this, because he thinks he needs that microwave, but I'd be living without one. They're really not. It doesn't cook your food in a healthy way. It kills a lot of the good stuff, and they're not healthy to have in your home anyhow. And it's a power sucker upper. So yeah, I think I would be going without that. But anyway, I just thought it was so funny that this woman's biggest tragedy in her kitchen is there's no place to put a microwave, and do we need microwaves? I mean, how many thousands of years have people lived without microwaves and cooked just fine, and we're a lot healthier? So it just becomes to a point, our internet, we've been having problems with our internet, and they've been having to do a lot of maintenance, and we had some issues, and, and so we've gone a lot of days when it's like, oh no, there's no internet. And we've realized how much we have gotten hooked into that, that we don't have cable TV or anything like that. So the only way we can get the news or anything is, pretty much to get it over the internet. We watch YouTube videos. There's just all kinds of stuff that we do. Almost all our bills, which we don't hardly have any, praise God. But I think there's only one that isn't paid over the internet. So when and this happened on the day I was supposed to pay bills, the internet was down. So I was a day late on doing that. Nothing was late because I always try to pay them like a week in advance in case something like that happens. But so everything worked out. But it's like, oh, how would I even pay my bills if I'm not doing it on the internet? It's like, oh my word, we just get so dependent on these things. And then, and I think we're living in a time when we are going to start learning how to go back the other way and live without some of these things that we've been so dependent on, and get back to our roots. But anyway, let me read. Oh, and I turned it. Did I already read James 1? See, now I'm all confused. I think I did, but maybe I didn't. To consider it all joy. Yeah, I did. I read it. And because that's why I'm talking about this, right? Too much stress going on. Considering it all joy when you go through various things, because it's going to test your faith, and the testing of your faith will produce endurance. And when endurance has had it's done its work in you, then you will be perfect, complete, and lacking in nothing. I think that's pretty much what it says. I read it so much now, I should have it memorized. So today I want to talk about Matthew 24 on considering it all joy, because we do go through things. And and that's what we're talking about, is different things in the scriptures. But Matthew 24, read the whole chapter on your own. I highly recommend it, especially in the days we're living in. But Jesus was talking to them about the last days and the tribulations that would come. And he said, and it says, and Jesus answered and said to them, see to it that no one misleads you. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will mislead many. And you will be hearing of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not frightened, for those things must take place, but that is not yet the end. And then it goes on about nation rising against nation, and earthquakes, and famines, and and all these things that happen. And he says, but all these things in verse 8 are merely the beginning of birth pangs. All right. So today I want to talk about, there are some things we go through, like what we're living in right now with all these wars, and they, I keep seeing them saying we're on the verge of World War III, that it's imminent, that I know we've got a strike going on at the ports on the East Coast, and now they're like, and then if this doesn't get settled the next couple of days, by next week there'll be no coffee, there'll be no shrimp, there'll be, how are we going to live without coffee and shrimp? My daughter went out and bought me a big thing of coffee really quick. Your mom, because she said we can live without shrimp, but we can't live without coffee. So she went and stocked up on some coffee yesterday, which I thought was so funny. But she's absolutely right. How do you live without coffee? But then I go out and dig up dandelion roots, roast them, and make dandelion root coffee, which is also awesome and very good for me. I tend to do that through the winter anyway, alternating them. So not all my coffee is caffeine and from beans. All right. So anyway, these are things that are going to happen. And he says, don't be frightened. These are things that simply must be. They have to take place in order for the end to come. And the end would be then ushering in the second coming of Jesus Christ and changing everything in a very positive, wonderful way. But what we go through to get to that, not so easy, not so glamorous or glorious or whatever. So we are living in a time when there is wars and babies being killed, and it's a bit much. For me, it is, when I think about it, and how people can just hate other people and want to dominate other people, and to the point that they would, not just kill people, but I don't understand the killing of children and babies. How you could possibly do that, but yet there's been some horrible things of that have gone on, most purposefully. It wasn't just a casualty of war. And there is definitely food crisis and people that are going hungry. And the thing is that is really different for me. Okay, there's a lot of medical problems, diseases going around, society's collapsing. There's a lot going on. But, growing up, so much of the time, those things have always been going on somewhere in my life, in my lifetime, not in my life, in my lifetime. But it's not been on American soil. This time, all those things that I mentioned, it's going on American soil too. And I think it's probably going to amp up and be a lot worse. So I hope that you are praying and seeking God's wisdom and His direction. My prayer is that you're finding your peace in Him and preparing. And we've got a phone call trying to come in, so we'll see if that will hang on there with me, guys, because I want to try and get this in. What this is meant to be. Okay. All right. I think that was it. All right. So these things happen. People interrupt you on the phone when you're trying to do a YouTube video or whatever. That's nothing. That's small in the big picture. There's stuff going on. I know people are struggling with trying to get medical help. And even when they've got insurance and can get there, I know people that are waiting. They need to be seen right now, but they're having to wait until somebody has an opening for them. They're having to wait to do stuff. And, and I've heard some people going, I hope I don't die in the meantime. Even in the emergency rooms, have known a few people in the emergency room here lately, and they've had to wait when they needed to be seen right away. And they're like, we just don't have room for them. And they just, yeah. So we've been accustomed to being able to get help when we need help, to have things available to us for purchase that we want available to us, and things that we need available to us. And that is changing, and it's not so much that way anymore. And some of us are having to go into survival mode and just try to do what we need to do each day to keep our head above water, and keep laying stuff before the Lord. Okay, Father, here came this bill, and I'm not prepared for it, and I don't have money for it, and I don't know how to pay it, but you do. So I'm asking you to provide for this and take care of it. And He does. Maybe not in the moment I want Him to, or maybe not in the way I want Him to, but at the end of the day, everything got taken care of that needed to be taken care of. And those things that are still waiting to be taken care of will be taken care of. In my health, in my finances, in my relationships, all of it. So today, some of these things that are going on that are inconveniences and heartbreaks and scary around the world and right in my backyard, I can still count it joy, because I know that a lot of the things that we're experiencing right now are things that simply must take place in order for Christ to return. And oh, what a glorious day that will be. And how I look for it with longing. So sometimes the only way to get over there to the other side of my problems is I might have to walk through the mud to get there. But there's a hose on the other side that'll wash it all away. And it was a little inconvenient, not the path I wanted to get there, but it was the path that was set before me, and I simply had to just do it to get where I needed to be. So, hope this encourages somebody. Even if it doesn't, I'll tell you, it encourages me, and I've been needing it. So it's getting stirred up around here. So I'm going to need to get going, and because they're going to pretty soon start telling us to move our cars up and make more room. And that'll be a whole nother interruption. I love you guys. I hope it's going well with you. Those of you that are having struggles and you just need somebody praying for you, drop it in the comments, drop me an email, write me a letter. All the information is in the description of this video in order to contact me by email or snail mail. I love snail mail, people. I love when you guys send me letters. I love it. All right. I love you guys. I gotta start my car. I'll be talking to you later. You take care, and we'll talk real soon.